What? You? Wu Jianshen seemed yet to register the information. He moved to a quieter spot and said, Zhang Ming, is it really you? Chen Mingsheng took a deep breath and asked, Can't you recognize me by my voice? You damn it. Wu Jianshen cursed, You're really not dead. I thought they were wrong all the time. Chen Mingsheng said, Seems like you're not very pleased that I'm still alive. Get lost. Wu Jianshen said, If you're not dead, why were you hiding? Wait, I'll call Brother Bai for you. Hold on, Chen Mingsheng said. Where are you guys now? At Liu Wei's place. I am coming over then. Don't. Wu Jianshen said, What are you going to do there, Mayong? Just wait, I'll get back to you in a bit. Having said that, Wu Jianshen hung up the phone without waiting for Chen Mingsheng to respond. The driver looked at Chen Mingsheng through the rearview mirror and asked, Where to? Chen Mingsheng said, Head towards the city center first. The driver activated the meter and made a U-turn. It had been more than a year since Chen Mingsheng had been back here, but getting off the plane, he didn't feel out of place. It was as if he had just gone out for a stroll. Tree-lined roads were as lush and vibrant as ever, unlike back there where green leaves are nowhere to be seen now. Perhaps Chen Mingsheng speculated, the only change was that he tended to make comparisons. Whatever he saw or thought of, he would subconsciously compare it with that place. Chen Mingsheng's arm rested on the window frame as he couldn't help but think about Yang Zhao. What was she doing? It was already midnight. Was she asleep? Had she called him? No, she probably hadn't. Although the SIM card was now snapped into two and he had no way to check, he knew that Yang Zhao would not have called him. Because he had asked her not to, and Yang Zhao would never break a promise. Chen Mingsheng thought about the final embrace from Yang Zhao and felt a heavy pressure in his heart. He took a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, lit one up, and told himself this was not the time to be thinking about such things. Driving past a crossroad, Chen Mingsheng's phone rang again, another call from Wu Jianshen. Ming brother Bai asked me to tell you to check into the Quihu Hotel tonight. He will meet you in Mingdu tomorrow. Is he in Kunming now? Yes, he is. All right then. Oh yes, Wu Jianshen said, he asked me to inquire about your previous bank account. Are you still using it? Chen Mingsheng glanced at his travel bag. Before they deplaned, old Zhu had given him some items, which included his old SIM card and passbook. The police had a backup of this passbook. Chen Mingsheng turned his gaze back slowly and said, No need for that. I'll give you a new number. Note it down. All right, go ahead. Chen Mingsheng provided a series of new numbers. Wu Jianshen noted them down, saying, Then I'll pass this number to Brother Bai. After ending the call, Chen Mingsheng told the taxi driver, Please take me to Quihu Hotel. By the time they got to the hotel, it was already late into the night. Chen Mingsheng climbed out of the car with his bag and strode into the hotel leaning on his crutch. The Quihu Hotel is considered a decent hotel in Kunming. Chen Mingsheng walked into the lobby and headed to the front desk. The two men on night shift greeted him. Sir, how may we assist you? Chen Mingsheng looked up at the sign posted on the wall behind the desk displaying the room rates for the night. He said, Do you have any double bedrooms available? Yes, sir, the receptionist clacked away on the computer keyboard and said, We have 3 double bedrooms left. The receptionist was extremely efficient and quickly arranged a room. Chen Mingsheng pulled out a card and paid a week's rent up front. As the receptionist asked him to sign the receipt, he looked at the total cost of over 5,000 and felt a complex mix of emotions. The room was spacious and clean, with a fruit plate prepared on the table. Chen Mingsheng threw his bag aside and collapsed onto the bed. After a day of running around, his head felt heavy. Chen Mingsheng rolled on the bed, and in his drowsy state, he seemed to hear Yang Zhao's voice. Her calm tone echoed in his ears, saying, Remember to take a bath next time. Chen Mingsheng bolted up from the bed. The room was empty. The coffee table, television, counter, and the glass vase on the small table all sat in their quiet places. Chen Mingsheng rubbed his face and got up. He didn't bother to reach for his crutches. He just slipped on his slippers and hopped on one leg to the bathroom. He turned the water temperature to the coldest setting and washed his face. Chen Mingsheng leaned against the sink and looked at the man in the mirror. That man looked quite serious. No wonder Yang Zhao had told him that he looked like an old man. Chen Mingsheng remembered when he was at Yang Zhao's house, she said he looked good when he smiled. He tried to smile at the mirror, then quickly turned his gaze away, not wanting to dwell on it. He then returned to his room and sorted through the contents of his travel bag to cell phones, for bank cards, a passbook, to jackets, a pair of pants, a vest, a pair of underwear, and some miscellaneous items. Chen Mingsheng proceeded to unload the bag onto his bed. The first thing he picked up was a silver savings card. It was given by Yang Zhao before she left. The card looked very new, like it had never been touched. He turned the card over and saw a small piece of tape stuck on the back, with the 6-digit number 863,942 written on it. The digits seemed arbitrary. Chen Mingsheng did not understand their significance. However, he noted down the number, peeled off the tape, and put the card back in the deepest part of his travel bag. Then he took out his other cell phone and dialed a number. Old Zhu picked up the call in a daze. He had obviously been woken up from his sleep. Chen Mingsheng said, "I have arrived." Old Zhu replied sleepily, "Bullshit." Chen Mingsheng laughed and asked, "Did I wake you up?" Old Zhu mumbled bullshit again. "I am meeting with Bai Ji tomorrow." What? You've contacted him already? Yes, I have. Where are you now? Kuihu Hotel. Chen Mingsheng leaned back against the head of the bed and asked, "What's the matter?" "You brat." Chen Mingsheng chuckled and asked, "Is the hard seat comfortable?" He could almost hear old Zhu gritting his teeth over the phone. Chen Mingsheng decided to let him off the hook. "All right, I won't disturb you anymore. Get some rest. I'll contact you after I meet Bai Ji tomorrow." Mingsheng, old Zhu said in a serious tone on the other end of the call. "Remember, stay focused." Chen Mingsheng said, "Don't worry." The next morning, while he was having breakfast at the hotel, he received a call from Wu Jianshen. "Are you awake?" "Yes." Chen Mingsheng took a bite of a bun. "Has Brother Bai arrived?" "He's almost here," Wu Jianshen said. "You can come directly here." "All right." The Mingdu Bar, a property under Baiji's wife Hanwan's name, is located on Renmin East Road, Panlong District. The bar's entrance looks rather unassuming, even a bit inconspicuous to the unsuspecting eye. Yet it is more than meets the eye, as the bar is an underground one. Chen Mingsheng opened the door of the bar and eyed the somewhat narrow staircase that led downwards. Holding his crutch under his arm, he supported himself against the wall, stepping down one step at a time. Reaching the bottom, Chen Mingsheng saw only 2 or 3 people cleaning up the bar's main hall. Mingdu operates from 6 in the evening until 6 in the morning, so there were no customers at the moment. Chen Mingsheng walked into the bar holding his crutch. The cleaning staff looked him up and down and then said, "We're closed now. You can come back later tonight." Chen Mingsheng, keeping his eyes on the floor, did not respond. The man frowned and said, "Are you deaf? I told you we're." Ming. A bartender who was cleaning cups at the bar counter looked up and craned his neck to get a better look. "It's Ming." Recognizing Chen Mingsheng, he put the cup aside and rushed over. "It's really you, Ming." He slapped the cleaning guy on the head. "Who the hell do you think you are, driving customers away? Do you want to lose your job?" Clearly, the cleaning guy hadn't anticipated so much trouble just for trying to shoo away a limping man. He promptly lowered his head. I'm sorry." The bartender smiled at Chen Mingsheng. He's new here. Chen Mingsheng seemed to be in good terms with the bartender. He patted his shoulder and said, "Ayan, long time no see." Upon hearing his name being called, Ayan almost teared up. Like a dog pouncing on his food, he embraced Chen Mingsheng. Chen Mingsheng nearly fell due to the sudden hug. He held Ayan back and asked, "What are you doing?" "Ming." Ayan howled. "They all said you were dead. I knew for sure you would be all right." Chen Mingsheng chuckled. "How did you know?" "You have a strong life force." As Ayan spoke, he looked down at Chen Mingsheng's leg and asked, "Ming, is this from?" Noting that Bai Ji hadn't arrived yet and with time to kill, Chen Mingsheng let go of his crutches and sat down on a nearby sofa. He picked up a cigarette. Ayan quickly grabbed a lighter and lit it for him. "Ming, where have you been this past year?" Chen Mingsheng retorted, "Why are you asking?" He took a puff and asked, "What's been happening around here while I was away?" Ming. Ayan dragged a stool over, glanced at the waitstaff who was still watching their interaction and barked, "Get back to work." The staff quickly left with his head bowed. Ayan turned his head and muttered to Chen Mingsheng, "Ming, while you were away for a year, Liu Wei has been enjoying his life." Chen Mingsheng simply responded, "Oh, is that so?" "Of course," Ayan said. "Now that you're back, he's nothing." Ayan expressed his disdain by shrinking his pinky finger. Chen Mingsheng snorted and blew smoke in his direction. Just then, sounds came from the entrance. Chen Mingsheng turned his head and heard the door opening. The deliberate footsteps echoed from the staircase above. He saw a pair of white sneakers and lowered his head to put out his cigarette. When he looked up again, Bai Ji had already descended to the main hall. Bai Ji was 48 years old, of medium build. His appearance was very cultured. He even wore a pair of glasses. At first glance, he didn't look like a criminal, but more like a university professor. He didn't like formal wear, preferring casual attire, and he especially liked to wear white sneakers. Bai Ji was followed by 2 or 3 individuals. Chen Mingsheng recognized Wu Jianshen and Liu Wei, and there was one whom he had never seen before. Bai Ji saw Chen Mingsheng as soon as he arrived. Chen Mingsheng got up from the sofa and said, Bai Ji. Bai Ji eyed Chen Mingsheng up and down, his eyes revealing some inquiry behind the silver glasses. Then he knowingly said to the people behind him, See, just as I told you. Wu Jianshen also spotted Chen Mingsheng, and his gaze fixed on Chen Mingsheng's leg. Zhang Mingyu. Bai Ji raised a hand, and Wu Jianshen closed his mouth. Come on, let's not stand out here. Let's go inside. Bai Ji took the lead and went into the inner room. Chen Mingsheng followed with his crutches, and Wu Jianshen and others followed suit. Chen Mingsheng glanced at Liu Wei unexpectedly. Among them all, Liu Wei looked the fiercest with an intimidating face. He too glanced at Chen Mingsheng, then quickly moved his gaze away. The last person to enter the room closed the door. Turn on the lights, Bai Ji said. As Chen Mingsheng entered the room, he flicked the light switch. The room was spacious with a few long sofas in the middle and a table off to the side. Bai Ji sat down on one of the sofas. Liu Wei came over and asked, What would you like to eat, Brother Bai? Bai Ji shrugged and said, Hot pot. The weather has been rather gloomy these days. Eating some hot pot will rejuvenate me. Liu Wei smiled and said, All right. He went out to ask someone to prepare it. As he passed Chen Mingsheng, he discreetly looked at Chen's leg. Seymour, Ming. Bai Ji patted the seat next to him, and Chen Mingsheng took the seat. Wu Jianshen and the other person sat across from them on another sofa. Bai Ji fetched a box of cigarettes from his pocket, took out 2, and handed one to Chen Mingsheng. Thanks, Brother Bai. Chen Mingsheng accepted the cigarette, took out his lighter, and lit Bai Ji's cigarette first. Bai Ji took a puff, reclined on the sofa, and caught Wu Jianshen's eye across him. There was a hint of a smile in his eyes behind the silver frames. What did I say? Bai Ji flicked his cigarette and said, I had told you, if he's not coming out, something must be up. The he Bai Ji was referring to, without a doubt, was Chen Mingsheng. Bai Ji then turned and looked at Chen. He was rather slender. With his head slightly tilted, the contours of his cheekbone were particularly prominent. Ming, Bai Ji said lightly, don't want to come back. Chen Mingsheng shook his head. No, he looked down at the ground covered by a dark red carpet. Brother Bai, I feel a little tired. T.S. Bai Ji quickly turned his head, scoffed and said, Tired? How old are you to be tired? He pointed at Chen Mingsheng's arm, leaned in and said, You've only just started making money and you're tired? After finishing, he grinned at Chen Mingsheng. Chen Mingsheng also lowered his head and chuckled. Bai Ji leaned back and said, Ming, it's just a missing leg. What's there to fear? He looked at Chen Mingsheng and said slowly, Is it that you don't trust me? His gaze seemed somewhat cold. Chen Mingsheng looked up at him, then lowered his head again. No, Brother Bai, I trust you. Bai Ji raised his hand, flipping the hem of Chen Mingsheng's shirt, scrutinizing him both inside and out, and frowned. Look at what you've done to yourself. Chen Mingsheng hung his head, remaining silent. Wu Jianshen said, Zhang Ming, what you did wasn't quite right. You could have at least informed us. You just walked off without saying a word. What does that make it? Chen Mingsheng nodded. It was my mistake. Ming, Bai Ji inhaled lightly from his cigarette. How long have you been with me? Chen Mingsheng unconsciously clenched his teeth and said, 8 years. Bai Ji also seemed intrigued by this lengthy period. He looked at the rising smoke in a seemingly reminiscent manner. After a while, the door was knocked on. Wu Jianshen said to come in, and 2 waitstaff wheeled in a small cart filled with hot pot ingredients. Bai Ji lowered his hand and snuffed out his cigarette in the ashtray, while saying, Come on, let's eat first. Chen Mingsheng followed Bai Ji to the table, and the waitstaff set up a dozen or so plates full of meat, vegetables, and seafood on the table. The hot pot was finally brought to the table. Bai Ji used a wet handkerchief to wipe his hands and instructed the waiter, who opened 2 bottles of good wine. All right, please wait. The waiter went to get the wine. Bai Ji patted Chen Mingsheng's shoulder. Did you have breakfast? Chen Mingsheng replied, I didn't eat much. Bai Ji said, come along, perfect timing. We can talk while we eat. Hot pot was one of Bai Ji's many indulgences, particularly for spicy and savory foods. The atmosphere at the table was relaxed. Wu Jianshan, Liu Wei, and another man took turns making toasts, and Chen Mingsheng accepted them one by one. Bai Ji liked to prepare hot pot himself. He waved his hand, asking the waitstaff to leave. Once the pot was boiling, he grabbed a piece of lamb with his chopsticks and dropped it in. Ming, what have you been up to all this time? Bai Ji asked casually. Chen Mingsheng replied, not much, spent most of the time recovering from the injury. Bai Ji nodded. He swirled the lamb around in the pot for a few times, glanced at Chen Mingsheng's leg and asked, do you blame me? Huh? Chen Mingsheng didn't understand at first. However, when he saw Bai Ji's gaze, he grasped the context. No, said Chen Mingsheng, brother Bai, it wasn't your fault. Bai Ji took a bite of the lamb and sighed, I didn't have a choice. When the incident occurred, I had to withdraw first. He wiped his mouth with a handkerchief and continued. Later, I sent Jian Shan and others to look for you, but they couldn't find you for more than half a month. Yes, Wu Jianshan chimed in. We looked for you for a whole 15 days in Dongxing, but we didn't find a trace of you. Liu Wei suddenly interjected. Yeah, brother Ming. I was there too. He glanced at Wu Jianshan, then sidelong, his expression slightly teasing. Brother Ming, we looked for you for a long time. You left no trace. Where did you go? Bai Ji cooked another piece of meat. It seemed a bit too hot as he blew on it a few times before eating. Chen Mingsheng explained, after the incident, I hid in Dongxing for a few days, then paid to hitch a ride north on a fruit truck. Liu Wei asked, didn't you notice the news we put out? Chen Mingsheng replied, I didn't. Liu Wei chuckled. He was around 30 years old, looking slightly younger than Chen Mingsheng. His appearance wasn't particularly unpleasant, but his face always carried a subtle, intangible harshness, particularly noticeable when he looked at Chen Mingsheng. He called out Brother Ming, but there was not an iota of respect in his voice. Everyone present were seasoned veterans of their trade, and they could all discern this. However, no one showed any reaction. Chen Mingsheng looked at him. He met Liu Wei about 5 years ago. At that time, he had already been with Bai Ji for several years. Liu Wei initially worked in a mahjong parlor. At the time, Bai Ji wanted to take over the parlor, but the owner didn't want to sell and was uncooperative. Bai Ji then resorted to befriending a worker at the parlor, that person being Liu Wei. Bai Ji gave Liu Wei a sum of money. Liu Wei happily set a trap for his boss, who ended up being arrested. Bai Ji bought the parlor, and Liu Wei naturally started following Bai Ji. In a sense, Liu Wei owed much of his transformation from a mahjong parlor worker to his present status to Chen Mingsheng because the person who initially went to the mahjong parlor and met Liu Wei was Chen Mingsheng. This wasn't considered a favor. On the contrary, in a way, this determined the future relationship between Chen Mingsheng and Liu Wei. Chen Mingsheng approached Liu Wei because he saw in him a man not content with the present, and more than that, he saw that Liu Wei was selfish, heartless, willing to do anything for himself. Precisely because of these insights, even though he was the one who brought Liu Wei out of the mahjong parlor, he didn't interact with him much. At first, Liu Wei wanted to follow Chen Mingsheng, but he found that concessions such as offering cigarettes and no matter what other courtesies he offered seemed to leave Chen Mingsheng unmoved. People often find differences with each other in the course of interactions. When they realize that these differences lead to fundamental discrepancies, the initial positive emotions can turn into invisible malice. This was particularly true for people like Liu Wei. Later, Liu Wei started working under Wu Jianshan. Wu Jianshan, a favored man in Bai Ji's circle, had treated him well, but he always had a bone to pick with Chen Mingsheng. He felt that Chen Mingsheng was different. Compared to others involved in their line of work, Chen Mingsheng had something special about him. Liu Wei couldn't specifically pinpoint what it was, but he felt that Chen Mingsheng was different. Moreover, it seemed that many others could perceive this difference as well. They were drawn to Chen Mingsheng because of this difference. If one had to describe what was unique about him, some might say calm, brave, and manly. Some might even use qualities that don't appear to be common amongst them, such as determination and loyalty. Chen Mingsheng was always the most reliable when it came to getting things done. This was why Liu Wei loathed Chen Mingsheng. His disdain was deeply buried within him. Chen Mingsheng never paid him any extra attention, thus his disdain only deepened. Brother Ming, if you had any problems, you didn't have to run away. We are not unwilling to help you, Liu Wei said, looking at Chen Mingsheng. Wu Jianshen added, That's true, I have been looking for you non-stop. I knew, replied Chen Mingsheng. Why did you still run if you knew? Liu Wei gave a slight smile, glanced subtly at Bai Ji and asked, Did you have any complaints against us? At this point, the implications were quite clear to those who understood. Chen Mingsheng held his chopsticks but had yet to eat anything. Hearing Liu Wei's words, he was silent for a moment, then suddenly laughed softly in a low voice. When he looked up again, his gaze was both cold and calm. What did I run away from? Chen Mingsheng said in a low voice, My leg was crushed by a car, I hid in the kitchen of a restaurant, all the hotels outside were surrounded by police. What are you talking about? Liu Wei shrugged, his voice lacking confidence. What's the big deal? We were all looking for you. Chen Mingsheng explained, Once the lockdown was lifted, I left quickly. My leg needed urgent treatment. Dongxing was chaotic at the time, with police everywhere. Chen Mingsheng paused slightly, gave Liu Wei a look, and smiled with a deep insinuation. He murmured, Would you dare to show your face in front of the police? Liu Wei's face instantly became sour, and his eyes fierce. Why wouldn't I dare? The police mean nothing. Perhaps because of Chen Mingsheng's nonchalant look, Liu Wei's tone carried a hint of harshness, and he even seemed to be losing his composure. Chen Mingsheng slightly moved his chopsticks and said slowly, The police indeed mean nothing. You. Enough, Bai Ji's voice broke in, everyone shut their mouths. Bai Ji was thoroughly enjoying his meal, his face radiant, a thin layer of sweat breaking out on his forehead. He used his chopsticks to tap the hot pot and said, We said we were going to eat, why do we keep talking about this stuff? Chen Mingsheng grabbed a piece of pickled garlic and placed it in his bowl. Liu Wei glanced at him, but neither said anything more. After a while, Bai Ji asked, Where are you living now, Ming? Chen Mingsheng answered, At Quihu. Bai Ji nodded, You just got back. Rest for a couple of days. Then he gestured at the man who hadn't said a word the whole time. If you need anything, contact Guozi. Guozi seemed the youngest at the table, probably in his 20s. He wasn't particularly tall and, like Bai Ji, wore glasses, giving him an intellectual look. Guozi acknowledged Chen Mingsheng with a nod. Brother Ming. Chen Mingsheng scanned him slightly before looking at Bai Ji, asking, Who is he? I didn't have a chance to introduce you before. This is Guozi. I brought him over from home. He's a young man and doesn't know much. I thought he could use some seasoning. Bai Ji slapped Guozi's shoulder, adding, This is Zhang Ming. You've heard of him, right? I have, Guozi promptly replied. Wai Wei mentioned you so many times, always saying Brother Ming is the best. He gestured a thumbs up as he spoke. Hey, Bai Ji chuckled, that girl. She doesn't know much and acts like a kid even though she is grown up. Guozi also laughed. Wai Wei is a kid after all. As the words came out, he immediately realized something was off. It was too late to backpedal. Bai Ji turned his gaze onto him. His unblinking eyes stared through the steam from the hot pot, as unwavering as a wax figure. Guozi's hand trembled. A chopstick fell and clinked against the porcelain bowl. Brother Bai. Guozi's face still had a smile, but it was an awkward one, his words a bit incoherent. Sister Wai Wei she. Chen Mingsheng's chopsticks paused over the pickled garlic, motionless. Everyone at the table was still. Bai Ji's expression relaxed in an instant. He said cheerfully, Let's eat, what's everyone doing? Wu Jianshen nodded. Let's eat, the pot's boiling. Chen Mingsheng picked up the pickled garlic and put it in his mouth. Bai Ji opened a bottle of red wine for Chen Mingsheng and said, Once you've settled down in a few days, remember to visit the garden. Chen Mingsheng understood his meaning, nodded and replied, I'll go there tomorrow. Hearing his response, Bai Ji gave a broad smile, his silver glasses reflecting a bit of light. Good, that's more like it. They clinked glasses, and Chen Mingsheng downed his wine. Upon seeing Chen Mingsheng drink like this, Wu Jianshen laughed and said, Ming, this isn't the way to drink this wine. Chen Mingsheng grinned, Is that so? I haven't drunk this many times, don't know the rules. Wu Jianshen replied, It took me being educated several times by Brother Bai to learn the right way. Bai Ji waved his hand, Rules are just for tricking people. As long as you enjoy it, drink however you want. Wu Jianshen agreed, Brother Bai is right. Liu Wei glanced up at Chen Mingsheng. Bai Ji's favoritism toward him was too obvious. He picked up his wine glass and also finished it in one gulp. The meal lasted 2 hours, after which everyone dispersed. Bai Ji drove away in Wu Jianshan's car, but not before handing a car key to Chen Mingsheng, saying there is a car parked outside, use it for now. Chen Mingsheng nodded, thank you, brother Bai. After they left, Chen Mingsheng leaned against the wall near the bar's entrance to smoke a cigarette. Bai Ji had withheld something from him. Once he and Wu Jianshan had left, Liu Wei and Guozi's car had followed. Remembering their expressions as they departed and the barely concealed excitement on Liu Wei's face upon seeing that he was left behind, Chen Mingsheng calmly smoked the last of his cigarette and put out the butt. He didn't leave but turned and returned to Mingdu. Yan was there, hearing some noise. He craned his neck to look over. Brother Ming. Yan, seeing Chen Mingsheng return, left what he was doing and rushed over, saying, Brother Ming, you didn't leave? Chen Mingsheng nodded and said, come over here. Chen Mingsheng led Yan to a corner of the bar. They sat down on a semicircular sofa. Yan said, Brother Ming, shall I get someone to turn on the light? It's a bit too dark. It's fine. Chen Mingsheng sat down and said, no need to turn it on. Yan replied, then I'll get them to bring over a fruit platter. Chen Mingsheng didn't object, and Yan called out to the staff, bring a fruit platter. In a short while, a waiter brought a large 2-tiered fruit platter, the fruit cut into all shapes and arranged beautifully. Yan prepared a fork for Chen Mingsheng, saying, Brother Ming, have some fruit. Chen Mingsheng took the fork, didn't pick up any fruit, and swung it in his hand, asking Yan, anything happened recently? Something. Yan thought for a moment, the biggest thing is your return. Chen Mingsheng gave a slight laugh. Besides that, he looked up at Yan, who instantly understood what Chen Mingsheng was referring to by something. Yan leaned in and whispered in Chen Mingsheng's ear, Brother Ming, there is indeed something. Chen Mingsheng picked a piece of cantaloupe and put it in his mouth. Yan continued to say, I don't know the specifics, but I heard that Brother Bai seems to plan a shipment. Chen Mingsheng remarked, didn't they just get investigated recently? How are they transporting again so soon? Yan shrugged, there's no choice, they're pushing hard. The last batch was ruined by the cops. Brother Bai suffered huge losses. Yan held up 4 fingers as he spoke. But it's okay, the guys got away. Yan said they even found the opportunity to take out the lead cop, so not a total loss. After eating a slice of cantaloupe, Chen Mingsheng never used his fork again. Instead, he idling tapped it against the fruit platter. I'm hearing this for the first time and so important. How does everyone know? Of course they know. Yan widened his eyes and said he would love everyone to know. Chen Mingsheng asked, who? Liu Wei. Yan lowered his voice and whispered to Chen Mingsheng, even though there's no evidence, everyone here knows that it was him who took out the head of the anti-drug team. Yan didn't finish his sentence but made a slicing motion with his fingers. Chen Mingsheng watched Yan's hand make a swift, decisive action. His gaze fell on Yan's fingertips, and he commented non-committally, is that so? Yan said, otherwise how did he rise so quickly? There was a hint of bitterness in his tone. For this shipment, Brother Bai is very likely to let him handle it. After finishing, seeing Chen Mingsheng not saying anything and keeping his head down, he added, but Brother Ming, you don't have to worry too much. After all, you've been away for so long and just came back. Plus, Yan avoided mentioning Chen Mingsheng's leg and glossed over, based on your relationship with Brother Bai, it won't be long before this route is yours again. He said cheerfully, when the time comes, remember to look after us, Brother Ming. Chen Mingsheng still didn't say anything. In the dark corner, Yan couldn't see his face, just his hand holding the small silver fork as it tapped against the fruit platter. Over and over. Steady, calm, rhythmical. It was like he was conceiving something. That evening, Chen Mingsheng returned to the Qihu Hotel and called Old Zhu. You said they're planning a shipment? Old Zhu's tone was somewhat solemn. Do you know the timing? Chen Mingsheng sat at the edge of the bed. I don't know the specifics yet. Old Zhu asked Bai Ji, how do you feel about his attitude now? Chen Mingsheng lit a cigarette. I think it's okay. There shouldn't be any issues. However, what? Old Zhu prompted. However, he seems to be more cautious now. I just got back, and I'm handicapped. They probably won't let me handle any important errands. Old Zhu asked, do you think he's intentionally avoiding you? This operation seems to have been in the works for a while. Chen Mingsheng took a drag of his cigarette. They left decisively, presumably to discuss something. There was a moment of silence on Old Zhu's side before he said, Mingsheng, you have to figure out what's going on. I know, Chen Mingsheng replied, I will visit the garden tomorrow and find an opportunity to talk to Bai Ji. Old Zhu advised, if there is indeed a situation, you must figure out the time. All right, responded Chen Mingsheng. Mingsheng, Old Zhu said, be very careful. Don't worry. Chen Mingsheng flicked away the cigarette ash and was silent for a while before asking, Old Zhu, how did Yan die? There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. All Chen Mingsheng could hear was faint breathing. Old Zhu said, Mingsheng, don't concern yourself with these things. I asked, how did Yan die? Old Zhu took a deep breath. He was set up. We were planning an arrest, but the information we received was false. Yan was targeted several days before the operation. Chen Mingsheng was silent for a moment before asking softly, did he suffer when he died? Old Zhu's tone was somewhat hurried, like he was repressing something. He said, Mingsheng, don't think about these things. Focus on your current work. Remember that you're a police officer. Chen Mingsheng waited a bit before answering, all right. The next day, Chen Mingsheng drove to Jining. Jining is located in the heart of Yunnan with mountains on 3 sides and a plain on the 4th. In Kunming town of Jining County, there's a memorial garden park, Zhenghe Park, which is considered a major tourist attraction locally. To the north of Zhenghe Park, not far away, there is a standalone house hidden deep on a street, generally unnoticed by passersby. Bai Ji's daughter, Bai Weiwei, lives here. Bai Ji calls this place the garden. The name was quite appropriate as the villa is surrounded by a courtyard full of flowers and plants. Chen Mingsheng parked his car at the entrance and walked in with his crutch. The garden gate was unlocked, so he entered directly. He saw Wu Jianshen in the garden. Zhang Ming, Wu Jianshen saw him too. As Chen Mingsheng walked over, he said, what are you doing here? Wu Jianshen replied, Brother Bai was concerned you might feel out of place after being away for so long, so he had me host you. Chen Mingsheng and Wu Jianshen proceeded towards the house. Chen Mingsheng asked, how long have you been here? Wu Jianshen responded, I arrived early this morning. Chen Mingsheng glanced at him and said casually, you were with Brother Bai until late last night? Yes, Wu Jianshen yawned and opened the door. We went to a bathhouse and didn't leave until midnight. The villa was not large, but the interior was beautifully decorated, and the rooms were neat. The walls were covered in floral wallpaper. Small rugs were laid on the floor, and fresh flowers were arranged on the coffee table and lampstands, which looked very chic. Where is Weiwei? She hasn't returned yet. Wu Jianshen accompanied Chen Mingsheng to the living room and they sat down on the sofa. A lady dressed as a housekeeper emerged from the inside room, and Wu Jianshen said to her, bring some sunflower seeds, peanuts, and also brew some tea. The lady nodded without saying anything and turned to prepare food in the kitchen. Chen Mingsheng sat across from Wu Jianshen. When will she be back? Wu Jianshen took out a cigarette and lit one up for himself and one for Chen Mingsheng. I'm not sure, should be a while longer. Chen Mingsheng lit his cigarette from Wu Jianshen's. What is she doing now? Wu Jianshen replied, Brother Bai arranged a job for her. Chen Mingsheng asked, where? Wu Jianshen responded, in a primary school, as an English teacher. Chen Mingsheng blinked, a teacher? Wu Jianshen laughed, yes. While they were talking, a honking sound came from outside. Chen Mingsheng and Wu Jianshen both looked towards the door. In a few moments, the door was pushed open, and a woman walked in. The woman was about 24 or 25 years old, not tall but very pretty. She almost ran into the room. As the door opened, her gaze immediately landed on Chen Mingsheng sitting on the sofa. Amming? The woman's mouth dropped slightly, looking at Chen Mingsheng in disbelief. Amming? Chen Mingsheng looked at her and said, Weiwei? Bai Weiwei's eyes grew wide, and slowly, her eyes started to turn red. She threw the bag in her hand and darted towards Chen Mingsheng. Chen Mingsheng stood up, and Bai Weiwei ran straight into his arms. Amming, I knew you weren't dead, I just knew it. Bai Weiwei held onto Chen Mingsheng's arm, tears streaming down her face. Chen Mingsheng lost his balance from the impact and sat back down on the sofa. Bai Weiwei also stumbled a bit before noticing Chen Mingsheng's leg. Bai Weiwei seemed startled. Amming, what happened to your leg? Chen Mingsheng responded, it's nothing. Bai Weiwei looked down at the stump, her gaze filled with confusion. She asked the same question again. Amming, what happened to your leg? Chen Mingsheng focused on Bai Weiwei's eyes, which looked slightly different than before. He knew she was having one of her episodes again, so he grabbed her hand to divert her attention. I heard from Wu Jianshen that you're a teacher at a primary school. Bai Weiwei had been hanging her head low, but upon hearing Chen Mingsheng's words, she took a moment before looking up, her eyes becoming clear once again. Yes, Bai Weiwei answered. I'm an English teacher at a primary school. Do you like it? Asked Chen Mingsheng. I do, Bai Weiwei answered excitedly, like a little girl that had just received a flowered dress. I love teaching English, the kids are so smart. Chen Mingsheng nodded in approval when Wu Jianchen from the side said, Weiwei, go freshen up. Brother Bai will be here later, we'll all have dinner together tonight. Dad is coming too? Asked Bai Weiwei. Yes, and he brought you a present, Wu Jianchen replied. Really? Bai Weiwei turned to look at Chen Mingsheng. Where is the present? Both Chen Mingsheng and Wu Jianchen looked at each other surprised as Bai Weiwei's eyes filled with anticipation. Just as Wu Jianchen was about to say something, Chen Mingsheng gave him a look and said to Bai Weiwei, It's in my car, I'll give it to you tonight. Bai Weiwei smiled in delight, gave Chen Mingsheng a hug, then turned and went upstairs. After she left, Wu Jianchen turned to Chen Mingsheng with a laugh. Did you really buy her a gift? With a helpless shake of his head, Chen Mingsheng replied. Wu Jianchen looked upstairs and said, It always takes me a while to react to her episodes. You handle them well. Chen Mingsheng took a drag from his cigarette and said, There's nothing to handle, I just go along with her. He then glanced at Wu Jianchen. Brother Bai is coming later. Yes, Wu Jianchen said, it's due to your influence that he's coming by. It's rare for him. Chen Mingsheng looked down and kept smoking, not responding. Bai Ji arrived around PM, with only a driver to escort him. Bai Weiwei had changed into a flowered dress and sat next to Chen Mingsheng. The dinner was prepared by the house chef and served in the dining room on the first floor. The meal was rather pleasant. Before dinner, Chen Mingsheng found Bai Ji and explained the situation from earlier. Borrowing flowers to offer to the Buddha. Bai Ji laughed. The gift I bought for my daughter turned into a gift from you. Chen Mingsheng gave a helpless smile. I forgot, I'll make it up next time. Here you go. Bai Ji took a small gift box from his car and handed it over to Chen Mingsheng. Between you and me, she'll definitely prefer it if the gift came from you. Chen Mingsheng gave the gift to Bai Weiwei, who opened it on the spot. It was a hat with a wide brim and a delicate lace trim in a light color. Bai Weiwei put the hat on and asked Chen Mingsheng, Emming, do I look good? Chen Mingsheng nodded. You look good. Take off the hat now, let's eat first, Bai Ji said. The atmosphere at dinner was very pleasant. After the meal, Bai Weiwei clung to Chen Mingsheng, taking him to her room to talk. Emming, why haven't you come to see me for so long? Chen Mingsheng replied, I was recovering from my injuries outside. Bai Weiwei looked down at his leg, her facial expression somewhat sorrowful. Is it because your leg is hurt that you didn't want to see me? Chen Mingsheng laughed lightly. No. Bai Weiwei declared, don't worry, I can take care of you, I can ask Dad for help. Chen Mingsheng looked down at Bai Weiwei. Bai Weiwei had clear, childlike eyes. In a sense, she really was a child. 8 years ago, when Chen Mingsheng just became part of Bai Ji's organization, Bai Weiwei was just starting high school. Bai Ji was very protective of Bai Weiwei. He didn't let her know what he was really doing. She only vaguely knew that her father owned several nightclubs, but she had no idea what those places were like. Once, she got out of school early and decided to visit one of the nightclubs on a whim. The people there didn't recognize her and asked what she wanted to do. Bai Weiwei innocently said she wanted to sing and then wait for her dad. They gave her a room in the nightclub. There was a fruit plate, tea, and a song list on the small table. At that time, nightclubs were different from now. They were not very regular and quite chaotic. Bai Weiwei regretted going in after seeing it, and when she wanted to leave, she saw several men and women huddling together dirtily in the corridor at the entrance. Bai Weiwei was terrified and locked the door. She didn't have a mobile phone at that time, and she could only think of waiting for her dad to come and take her away. Coincidentally, a few drunk men came and knocked aggressively on Bai Weiwei's door, creating a ruckus. The doors in the nightclub were wooden, and they were kicked open by the drunk men. Bai Weiwei was so frightened then that she developed a psychological disorder. At that time, Chen Mingsheng was working in that nightclub too. He heard a cry for help and rushed into the room to rescue Bai Weiwei. When he asked her where her family was, Bai Weiwei was already too scared to say anything. Chen Mingsheng took her to the hospital, where Bai Weiwei fell into a coma for 2 full days before waking up. She managed to forget that traumatic memory. But she never forgot Chen Mingsheng. When she told Chen Mingsheng that her father was Bai Ji, Chen Mingsheng knew that he had struck gold. At that time, Chen Mingsheng was trying to get close to Bai Ji, and Bai Weiwei was a golden opportunity. Bai Ji was extremely furious about Bai Weiwei's experience. The workers in that nightclub were all involved in the detriment, except for Chen Mingsheng. Amming, Bai Weiwei tilted her head and whispered to Chen Mingsheng like she was sharing a secret. I know you're working for my dad. Don't be afraid that he would fire you because of your leg. I would speak up for you. Chen Mingsheng thanked her with a smile. He glanced out through the gap in the door, seeing Wu Jianshen and Bai Ji talking in the living room. Chen Mingsheng then turned to Bai Weiwei. Did you like the gift I gave you? Bai Weiwei laughed and said she did. Chen Mingsheng looked at her with a smile, seemingly wanting to say something. Bai Weiwei was momentarily stunned before immediately laughing. You want a gift too, don't you? Chen Mingsheng replied, perhaps. Bai Weiwei asked excitedly, what do you want? Chen Mingsheng retorted, who asks such questions when giving gifts? Bai Weiwei frowned, but I don't know what you like. Chen Mingsheng casually said, you could ask someone else. Bai Weiwei mumbled to herself, who could I ask? Then she suddenly exclaimed in realization. Without paying any attention to Chen Mingsheng, she ran out of the room, all the way downstairs. Chen Mingsheng, trailing behind her, took a few extra steps down the stairs. He paused at the staircase corner, staying out of sight. Bai Weiwei pulled Wu Jianchen away from Bai Ji to discuss something in another room. After they left, Chen Mingsheng came down from upstairs. Upon seeing Chen Mingsheng, Bai Ji waved him over. Amming, come, sit here. Bai brother. Chen Mingsheng hobbled over with his crutches and sat down next to Bai Ji. He kept his head down after greeting Bai Ji and didn't say anything. What's the matter? You don't look too well? Bai Ji asked. Chen Mingsheng shook his head. Bai Ji, leaning back on the sofa, studied Chen Mingsheng, asking, is there something you can't say to brother Bai? Chen Mingsheng seemed hesitant, swallowed a few times, then finally looked up at Bai Ji. Brother Bai, do you think I'm useless now? Bai Ji chuckled. What are you talking about? Chen Mingsheng locked eyes with Bai Ji. Bai Ji, trust me, I can still do it. Bai Ji sighed under the intense gaze of Chen Mingsheng. I'm afraid you'd think like this. Bai Ji leaned slightly forward and said, you're smart, I know you must have figured out something. Chen Mingsheng said, if you think I'm no longer fit, just tell me directly. I won't cling on here. Hey Bai Ji frowned, don't think like that. A lot has happened during the past year. I can't just hand over the work of others to you as soon as you returned. That wouldn't give face to the other brothers. Chen Mingsheng lowered his head, remaining silent. Bai Ji patted Chen Mingsheng's shoulder. Amming, you've been by my side right from the start, you have to trust me. Suddenly, Chen Mingsheng said, Bai Ji, Liu Wei can't be reliable since he's always up to something. Bai Ji's hand stalled slightly, then he gave Chen Mingsheng a slow grin. He leaned back in the sofa, speaking slowly, Amming, opportunity always offers itself to everyone. Chen Mingsheng looked at his smile and finally nodded, murmuring a soft That night, Bai Weiwei suggested Chen Mingsheng stay at the garden, which Bai Ji strongly agreed with. Chen Mingsheng stayed in the guest room for the night. At midnight, lying on the bed, he thought out the events at dinner. One thing is for sure, that the operation of transporting goods is indeed happening, and Liu Wei was in charge. While Chen Mingsheng thought about how to get an exact timeline, the door was quietly pushed open. Chen Mingsheng looked towards the door and saw Bai Weiwei standing timidly in the doorway, wearing a silk camisole nightgown. Her hair was still slightly damp, freshly washed. Amming. Chen Mingsheng watched her. Bai Weiwei asked, Can I sleep with you? Chen Mingsheng lay on the pillow, looked at her with a cock of his head, then smiled, sure. Bai Weiwei's face lightened as she climbed onto the bed and lay next to Chen Mingsheng. He didn't move, and she didn't dare to reach out, she just lay quietly by his side. Chen Mingsheng turned to her and looking at her timid expression, he suddenly couldn't help but think of Yang Zhao. Watching Bai Weiwei sleeping beside him, he thought to himself that women are indeed a wonderful creation. He laid with his head resting on his arm, staring at the ceiling. At that moment, he stopped contemplating the mission, Bai Ji, Liu Wei and anything else. All his focus was on the woman that appeared in his mind. Yang Zhao. Many people say that if you spend a long time apart, you start to forget what a person looks like. When they recall, it's only a vague shadow in their minds. Yet Chen Mingsheng was able to remember Yang Zhao's face clearly, her soft voice, and the expression she wore when she sneered. Chen Mingsheng laughed bitterly in his memories. Indeed, he had been thoroughly tortured by this woman. In the quiet of the night, Chen Mingsheng found himself yearning for Yang Zhao. This yearning almost consumed him. He fumbled about on the bedside table until he found his phone. Yang Zhao's number wasn't in it, but those 11 digits were ingrained in his memory. He felt that he'd never forget them in his lifetime. In the darkness, he gripped the phone tightly. The person lying next to him stirred. Chen Mingsheng turned his head and noticed Bai Weiwei sleepily looking at him, murmuring in a small voice, "Ming, are you still awake?" Chen Mingsheng was silent. Bai Weiwei raised her head and asked, "Is something the matter?" He spoke quietly, "No, go back to sleep." She laid back down, mumbling, "You should sleep too, you seem tired." Chen Mingsheng simply agreed with a M. His hand gradually relaxed the grip on the phone. That strong impulse he had moments ago was slowly suppressed. Chen Mingsheng closed his eyes and gritted his teeth in silence. Bai Weiwei was right, indeed he was tired. Chen Mingsheng stirred and lay back down. Bai Weiwei, sensing his movement, instinctively extended her arm and wrapped it around him. Chen Mingsheng didn't move. He observed the hand against his chest, separated by a layer of soft quilt. The quilt was a princess-themed one, covered in beautiful patterns. Bai Weiwei liked this style, and Bai Ji instructed those who took care of her to cater everything to her preferences. Could it be that every woman loves to live in a fairy tale world? Chen Mingsheng had this thought and immediately chuckled softly. If Bai Weiwei was the harmless princess in this fairy tale world, then what was Yang Zhao? When Chen Mingsheng thought of Yang Zhao, the first picture that came to mind was her smoking by the kitchen counter in her own apartment, her indifferent expression blending into the fading twilight. Perhaps she was a villain, Chen Mingsheng thought, a sorceress or a cold-hearted queen. In that world, the prince had no power against her. In the following weeks, Liu Wei appeared less and less. Chen Mingsheng sensitively sensed that the time for the goods transportation was approaching. Chen Mingsheng had been idling around at the Qihu Hotel. About a week later, Wu Jianshen found him and asked how he was doing. Chen Mingsheng asked, "What do you mean, how am I doing?" Wu Jianshen chuckled. "Well, you just came back. Have you pretty much settled in?" Chen Mingsheng said, "There's nothing to settle into." Wu Jianshen sat on the sofa in Chen Mingsheng's room saying, "Ah, you don't know how fortunate you are. I wish I could have a break right now." Chen Mingsheng, sitting on the bed, looked at him and asked, "Are you very busy now?" Wu Jianshen pulled a face, "Aren't I just?" He rubbed his neck, "I haven't slept in 2 days." Chen Mingsheng chuckled, "You came to my place to sleep?" Wu Jianshen replied, "If I wanted to sleep, I'd find a beauty to sleep with, not here with you." He tapped the chair with his fingers. "Brother Bai sent me here. He wanted to know if you've rested enough and if you wanted to do something." Chen Mingsheng paused, then slowly asked, "Do what? Who knows what you want to do?" Wu Jianshen said, "There have been a lot of hassles this year. Not many new venues opened, just the ones you know. Brother Bai asked me to check if there was anything you wanted to do." Chen Mingsheng looked down at his own hand, deep in thought. "In my opinion, you should just take over that restaurant in Panlong district," Wu Jianshen suggested. "There isn't much going on there. It's easy, profitable, and most importantly, not tiring." Chen Mingsheng asked, "Will Brother Bai agree?" "Of course," Wu Jianshen said. "He sent me here to ask you. Whatever you want to do, just say it." Chen Mingsheng said, "What about Wanfa Chess Club?" As soon as Chen Mingsheng finished speaking, Wu Jianshen paused. He looked at Chen Mingsheng, and after a while his expression became somewhat helpless. He said, "Zhang Ming, that's a bit disrespectful, don't you think?" Chen Mingsheng lit a cigarette and replied casually, "Disrespectful to whom?" Wu Jianshen said, "To everyone." Chen Mingsheng chuckled softly, remaining silent. Wu Jianshen waited a moment before continuing, "Zhang Ming, the Wanfa Chess Club has always been managed by Liu Wei. Aren't you afraid of stirring up trouble by going there out of the blue?" Chen Mingsheng had been staring at something, his eyes lowered. Upon hearing Wu Jianshen's words, he raised his gaze and stared at him through the thin veil of smoke. Relaxed, indifferent. What trouble could there be? Chen Mingsheng asked lightly, "What do you think could happen?" Wu Jianshen looked into Chen Mingsheng's eyes. He sat expressionless for a while before finally letting out a chuckle. "I've already told him." Chen Mingsheng lowered his gaze again and continued smoking. "I've warned Liu Wei before to watch his words," Wu Jianshen said. "You know how he is, always the same, still doesn't know when to rein it in." Chen Mingsheng scoffed but remained silent. I know you don't think highly of him, Wu Jianshen said. He has issues with you at every turn simply because you never gave him any regard. Chen Mingsheng tapped the ash off his cigarette and remarked, Isn't it enough that you're looking out for him? We don't need everyone doing the same. Wu Jianshen said, He's handled a few recent matters well and has now earned a place to have his say in front of Brother Bai. Even if you don't like him, you should save face for Brother Bai, otherwise it'll be difficult for all of us. Chen Mingsheng didn't respond to him but asked again, Can I take over the Wanfa Chess Club? Will it be okay, or not? Wu Jianshen sighed. Of course it would be okay. Brother Bai has spoken and you can choose freely, but if it's okay, then that's all I need to know, Chen Mingsheng interjected. I'll go there tomorrow. Wu Jianshen looked at Chen Mingsheng, smiled and said, Zhongming, Liu Wei is a tough nut to crack, you should be careful. Chen Mingsheng put out the stub of his cigarette. He looked up at Wu Jianshen and said, He just killed a cop. Wu Jianshen paused. How do you know about it? Tsk, Chen Mingsheng gave a cold snort. He couldn't wait for me to find out. Wu Jianshen understood and said, Indeed, it was a big achievement for him. It can certainly give you a hard time now. Wu Jianshen paused, then added, however, having the ability to kill Yan Zhengtao is impressive. It's not surprising that Brother Bai has been favoring him recently. Chen Mingsheng retorted, We've been working our butts off for Brother Bai for so many years. He catches up just by killing a few cops. Can you accept that? Wu Jianshen's face didn't look too good at these words. He said, What can we do? You know me ever since my wife had our child. I've been treasuring my life. Now you're in this state too. What can we do to compete with Liu Wei? Chen Mingsheng quietly watched Wu Jianshen's expression. After a long pause, he laughed lightly and said, Look at you getting all worked up. I was just kidding. If he wants to work, let him. After all, everyone benefits from it. Wu Jianshen also saw sense in this. Laughing, he told Chen Mingsheng, You definitely have the cunning mind. He got up from the sofa and moved closer to Chen Mingsheng, lowering his voice. Did you know? In a few days, he's going to transport another batch of goods. When he comes back, it'll all be Wu Jianshen didn't finish his sentence but started rubbing his thumb and index finger together in front of him. Chen Mingsheng shook his head, somewhat disinterested. With the crackdown being so intense, how much can he transport? There won't even be enough to share with us when he comes back. Wu Jianshen looked at him disdainfully, leveled his hand in front of Chen Mingsheng, and then slowly extended forefingers. Chen Mingsheng's face remained still, but his heart tightened. You must be joking, he said. Wu Jianshen scoffed but didn't reply. Unable to resist, Chen Mingsheng took out another cigarette to smoke. 4 fingers, number 4 heroin. Heroin is known as the king of drugs in the world, essentially being a refined product. After different refinement processes, heroin can have varying levels of purity. Number 4 heroin has a purity that reaches up to 90%. IG had sold number 4 before, but in rather small quantities. Chen Mingsheng said to Wu Jianshen that Liu Wei truly has a lot of nerve. Hey, he's got a dog's life, of course he has the nerves. Wu Jianshen sat next to Chen Mingsheng, also lighting a cigarette. Chen Mingsheng said, This is a big job, I wonder how much this young guy will pocket from it. Wu Jianshen's face showed a bitter expression as he gestured with a finger. At least this much, I'd say. Chen Mingsheng quietly drew a puff from his cigarette. The shipment this time weighed at least 1.5 kilograms. If they were caught, Liu Wei would undoubtedly be dead. Wu Jianshen finished his cigarette and got up to leave. Chen Mingsheng, alone, lay on the hotel bed for a while, thinking. Eventually, he made a phone call to old Zhu. The information is accurate. Did you verify it? Chen Mingsheng replied, leaning against the headboard. Old Zhu, this time it's heroin. Old Zhu hummed for a long time. His tone became notably more serious. Are you sure? I heard it from Wu Jianshen. It should be accurate. There was silence on the phone for a while before old Zhu said, What do you plan to do next? Chen Mingsheng said, I've taken over Liu Wei's chess club and will be there tomorrow. Good, old Zhu said. That's a good move, Mingsheng. Considering Liu Wei's nature, if he finds out you've taken over his turf, he won't let it go. Be careful then. Also, he spends most of his time in the chess club. Pay attention to the staffers there too. Some of them will want to please their new boss. Let's see if anyone has any useful information. Chen Mingsheng said, Yes, I will notify you if there is any news. Old Zhu said, It's been hard on you these past few days. Chen Mingsheng said, We are all in the same boat. Mingsheng, old Zhu said solemnly, Remember, be careful in everything you do. Chen Mingsheng laughed lightly and replied, I know. A few people exited the room, and not long after, a waiter came in carrying a box of beer. Brother Ming, should I open it? The waiter asked. Chen Mingsheng replied, No need, you can leave. All right, the waiter turned and left, closing the door behind him. Liu Wei glared at Chen Mingsheng with a sinister expression, a fake smile plastered on his face. What kind of good person are you pretending to be here in front of me? Chen Mingsheng, sitting on the sofa, glanced at him. I've never been a good person. Liu Wei squinted his eyes at Chen Mingsheng. Zhang Ming, there's no one else in this room now, so I'll speak frankly. He raised his finger, pointing around the room and then at himself. This Wanfa chess club is mine. I advise you to know better. Don't make things uncomfortable for everyone. Chen Mingsheng opened a bottle of beer and placed it in front of Liu Wei. You're overthinking things. I noticed you've been pretty busy lately, and there's no one to manage the chess club. I'm here to help out for a couple of days. Liu Wei responded, Whether I am busy or not is my business. This place is not somewhere you can control. Chen Mingsheng stayed quiet for a moment, then looked down and chuckled. You really have come a long way. Liu Wei seemed somewhat proud. The best is yet to come for me. Chen Mingsheng nodded. When you've finished with your business, just let me know and I'll hand this place back to you. Seeing Chen Mingsheng being so cooperative, Liu Wei actually became a bit suspicious. He looked Chen Mingsheng up and down. What's going on? You weren't like this before? Chen Mingsheng asked. What was I like before? Liu Wei scoffed but did not answer. Chen Mingsheng opened another beer and placed it in front of himself. What was before is past. Now that I'm like this, I don't have much choice in many matters. Liu Wei glanced at Chen Mingsheng's leg, finally sitting down on the sofa.